Most people in the US want the government to work better, as you may know. Just now, Elon Musk showed up in the Oval Office with a plan to do that. It has to do with Dogecoin. In Washington, D.C., Musk's ideas will completely change everything, from old retirement systems to AI that can think deeper than people. But how much does it cost? The tech billionaire's surprise trip to the White House has caused a lot of discussion. Musk's big plan is to use cutting-edge technology and cryptocurrency to make government work easier. His ideas include updating old methods and using blockchain to make transactions more open. Critics, on the other hand, are worried about the jobs that could be lost and the risks of making quick, untested changes to important government assets. Everyday life in the White House ran like a well-oiled machine, following the rules set by the president for decades. Meetings were carefully planned, visitors were carefully screened, and every encounter was carefully planned out. The Oval Office, which was seen as the center of American power, was a holy place where even the most powerful people treaded carefully, following long-standing rules of respect and decorum. But Musk had never been one to follow the rules. He smashed through the doors of the West Wing, making the power halls shake with confusion. Staff members looked at each other bewildered as their carefully planned plans were suddenly thrown off. It was impossible to miss how different Musk's attitude was from how the White House expected things to be done. Musk's clothes made the scene even stranger. He didn't wear a suit and tie like everyone else did. Instead, he wore a wrinkled t-shirt with the meme coin Shiba Inu on it, which is the mascot of his favorite cryptocurrency, Dogecoin. It looked like he had just rolled out of bed after a 48-hour code marathon with his hair and beard being a mess. He held a tablet that showed real-time cryptocurrency maps in his hand, and a blue glow lit up his determined face. As word got out that Musk had arrived, White House staff rushed to act. Secret Service officers who are trained to think of every possible security threat were temporarily paralyzed by how unexpected the situation was. Junior employees were frantically whispering into their headsets, while more experienced advisors were getting ready for what might happen because of this breach in protocol. Since President Trump is known for causing trouble, his first reaction was a mix of surprise and laughter. Musk walked into view and his eyes grew bigger. He smiled at the corners of his mouth. The two men, who were both used to getting people's attention and going against what they thought would happen, looked at each other in a moment full of possibilities. People there knew what this meeting meant symbolically. A giant in the tech world, this man had changed the way electric cars and private space travel worked, and he was now in the inner circle of political power. Two worlds collided: the slow, repetitive way of doing things in Silicon Valley and the slow, steady way of doing things in Washington. Musk's brave move came with a lot of risks. By going around the usual channels, he ran the risk of losing important friends in the administration and being seen as a loose cannon who wasn't fit for serious policy talks. His careless behavior could be seen as disrespect for the president's office, which could ruin any chance of working together. But the possible benefits were just as tempting. Musk could make a huge difference if he could get Trump's attention and persuade him that his ideas are good. This is something that has never been possible in the private sector. For the ambitious business person, the chance to leave an indelible mark on government efficiency and the merging of technology was clearly worth the risk. As Musk got closer to the Resolute desk, the Oval Office was buzzing with excitement. Would Trump ignore this stranger, or would he see Musk's bravado as a sign of a similar spirit? Everyone in the White House held their breath as they watched this once-in-a-lifetime event play out. The quiet was finally broken. Musk spoke first, and he had a smile and a twinkle in his eye. He spoke quickly and said, "Mr. President, I hope you're ready to make America's government as fast and efficient as a Tesla production line." "Elon, you've got some nerve showing up like this, but I like nerves. Let's hear what you've got," Trump said with a laugh. Trump was never one to let someone else steal the show. When they said those words, they broke the ice and set the stage for a talk that might change the way America is governed. Musk went into his pitch with the confidence that Trump's openness gave him. His words came out quickly and with the focus of a man on a mission. Musk started by dancing his fingers across his tablet to bring up a set of graphs and charts. "Mr. President, I'm here to talk about something that affects every American, something that's draining our resources and holding us back from true greatness," he said. "I'm talking about government inefficiency, and I have a plan to save us $1 trillion. Musk started by giving a rough picture of how the government is run right now. With about 450 government agencies in the US, the system had turned into a maze of duties that overlapped and rules that didn't make sense. Musk said that this oversized building was not only inefficient, but it was also getting in the way of progress and wasting resources that could be put to better use elsewhere. But Doge wasn't just about getting rid of extra fat. Musk's ideas about how to make the government work better were nothing short of revolutionary. He suggested a radical way to streamline operations that would change the way the government worked in a basic way. The main idea was simple but profound. Move people from public sector jobs that are low in productivity to private sector jobs that are higher in productivity. As Musk talked more about this idea, it became clear how big the changes he wanted to make would be. It wasn't just about cutting spending and moving departments around. It was about coming up with new ideas for what the government should do in society. As Musk talked about how established government departments might fight back, the tension in the room was palpable. People who want to keep things the same would always fight back against changes this big. Musk was ready for this task, though. He used his work in the private sector, especially the recent changes he made to Twitter, to show how cutting staff while making things work better could lead to better results. There was more to this than just theory. It was a plan that had worked in the fast-paced world of tech. Musk painted a lively picture of how Doge could change the way things are done in Washington as he talked. He talked about a government that used technology instead of paper to move quickly. New, cutting-edge tools would be put in place of old ones. It might be possible to cut down the time it takes to make decisions from months to days or even hours. Musk used a number of case studies from the private sector to make his point more clear. Each case showed how embracing innovation and efficiency had made a huge difference in how much work got done and how well services were provided. It was clear what this meant. If these ideas could change some of the biggest companies in the world, they could definitely change how the government works. From the beginning of the talk, it became clear how big the suggested changes would be. Musk wasn't talking about small changes or improvements that would be made to processes that are already in place. He wanted to change everything about how the government worked at every level. Both the plan's huge goals and its possible rewards were mind-boggling. Then the moment everyone was looking forward to came. Musk told the crowd that using Doge would save $1 trillion, followed by a dramatic pause. The figure hung in the air and was almost too big to understand. Musk wasn't done yet, though. He talked about this huge amount of money not only as a way to save money, but also as a chance for the US economy to change in a big way. It seemed like there were a lot of options. Lower interest rates, less debt for most Americans, more investment in important infrastructure. It became clear as Musk talked that Doge wasn't just about making the government work better. It was about making the American economy work as well as it could. How, though, would this trillion-dollar change be made? Musk then looked at the parts of Doge's plan that had to do with technology. He stressed how important innovation is for increasing productivity. He said that many government systems were badly out of date and were getting in the way of getting work done and providing services. That would be different with Doge, which would use all the power of current technology to solve problems in government. Musk described an ideal government that would be run by AI, Bitcoin, and advanced data analytics. Processes that used to need troops of bureaucrats could be automated, which would free up people to do more useful work. Information that used to be stuck in separate offices could now move freely, which led to better decisions and more responsive government. As Musk's dream of a tech-powered government came to life, a very important question arose. How much could AI change the way the federal government works? The answer would make us question basic ideas about how to run a government in the digital age. There was about to be a shocking reality clash with Musk's plan to use AI in government. A process that was very important to thousands of Americans in one federal agency still depended on paper forms and entering data by hand. The government retirement system, which is an important part of public service, was stuck in the days of paper and filing boxes. This obvious waste of time and money served as a stark warning of how badly the federal government needs to be updated. The computer mogul had a much bigger plan than just digitizing papers. In the future, he thought, AI would be able to handle many tasks that needed human help now. Musk thought that government processes could be made more efficient and cost-effective than ever before by using machine learning and advanced algorithms. Routine jobs that used to take hours and hours to do could now be done in seconds, freeing up workers to work on more difficult and creative projects. But as the talk about the possible uses of AI in government went on, a worry started to form in the background. There were big moral questions that came up when people thought about algorithms making choices that could touch millions of lives. Musk, who is always aware of the two sides of technological growth, talked about his worries about the risks of putting AI in charge of making policy. He stressed how important it was to build AI systems that would always try to find the truth. Musk warned that it was dangerous to program AI with wrong ideals or goals. He gave a detailed description of a terrible situation in which AI results might put certain political goals ahead of correct facts. One small mistake like this could have terrible effects on the government and society as a whole. Even with these worries, Musk was still positive about how AI could change the government. He got ideas from how AI had been used successfully in other fields, especially in transportation and supply chain management. These examples showed how AI could make complicated systems much more efficient and help people make better decisions. Musk dreamed of a government where information could easily flow between departments, breaking down the walls that often got in the way of making good policy. AI-powered analytics could handle huge amounts of data in real time, giving policymakers new information they couldn't get before. This could make the government more responsive and data-driven, able to change quickly with the times and meet the wants of its citizens. The impact that this AI change could have was mind-boggling. There seemed to be a huge range of uses, from streamlining governmental processes to making the best use of resources. Musk said that AI could change everything, from collecting taxes to building infrastructure. This could save billions of dollars and make services better for people. However, the social issues stayed at the center of the conversation. When AI is used in sensitive government jobs, like in the justice system or for national security, it needs to be closely watched and protected. Musk said that AI decision-making processes should be open and clear, and that people should be held responsible in important areas. As the talk went on, a schedule for this big AI integration started to take shape. Musk, who is known for setting tight deadlines in the business world, suggested a similarly risky way to change the government. In just a few years, he laid out a plan that he thought could lead to big improvements, which would definitely be hard for the bureaucracy's normally slow machinery. People in the room were both excited and scared by this shortened timeline. There was a great chance that government services could get better quickly, but there were also big risks that they could be rushed into action. It would be hard to find a good balance between the need for thorough testing and safety steps and the desire to move quickly. After all the fuss about Musk's AI plan died down, a new question arose. What about the people? What would happen to the 2.1 million government workers who are already on the job market because of this technological revolution? It was clear that artificial intelligence could make things more efficient, but it also meant that jobs and ways of making a living could be lost. People who work for the federal government are spread out among many administrative and bureaucratic jobs that are often blamed for not being efficient. Due to resistance to technology changes that have happened in other areas, many of these jobs haven't changed much in decades. Musk's plan, which called for a complete rethinking of how and by whom government work is done, was meant to break this lethargy. A lot of people are worried about losing their jobs, especially in unions and employee groups. People are very afraid. What will happen to the people who have dedicated their lives to doing these jobs if AI can do them more quickly and cheaply? When people talk about modernizing the government, the fear of major layoffs and workers losing their jobs is always present. Musk's plan, on the other hand, is not for complete replacement but for smart redeployment. He talks a lot about how important it is to retrain and shift workers. He says that the goal is to get workers into roles that help the economy instead of keeping them in dull bureaucratic jobs. This way of thinking recognizes the worth of people while also understanding the need to change as technology improves. People think that switching from bureaucratic jobs to ones that focus on new ideas is necessary to make the government work better. Musk says that a lot of the jobs that are currently in place are unnecessary and come from an old system that should be gotten rid of to make things run more smoothly. This doesn't necessarily mean fewer jobs overall, It just means that people will be moved to places where they can make the biggest difference. It is expected and reasonable that unions and employee groups will fight back. These groups have been fighting for a long time for worker protections and job security, and the idea of big changes to the way the federal government works could undo decades of hard-won success. The hard part is finding a balance between accepting that change is needed and protecting government workers' rights and ways of making a living. Still, examples from other fields show that these kinds of changes can be good even if they are hard. The tech industry in particular has shown that cutting staff by a lot can sometimes lead to better usefulness and capabilities. Musk's own experience with Twitter, where he supposedly saw better performance after cutting staff by 80%, is a controversial but interesting case study. Because of this change in the federal workforce, completely new skills and jobs may appear. As routine jobs are taken over by machines, workers may have more time to do creative and strategic work. Data analysts, AI ethical experts, and people who know how to combine different technologies could become the new core of a modernized government workforce. There is a lot of room for creativity and personal growth in these new jobs, which could lead to exciting career paths for people who are willing to adapt. Musk wants the federal workforce to be leaner and more skilled. He bases this idea on the idea that the government can work better and more efficiently if it improves technology and cuts jobs that aren't needed. He says that this streamlined method would help the average American in the long run by making services better, cutting down on red tape, and maybe even lowering taxes. On the other hand, getting to this new model is not easy. How can the government make sure that everyone gets a fair chance during the transition? What kinds of help do workers need to be able to get used to new jobs or find work in the private sector? These questions need to be answered in order to make a complete plan that strikes a balance between speed and kindness. People will be affected by the remaking of the government in a big way, but an even bigger economic puzzle is being put together. What if cutting back on government agencies could lead to world-beating GDP growth? Musk's idea suggests a way to make the country rich that goes against what most people think about how government spending affects the economy. The main idea behind Musk's economic plan is a bold claim. The United States could make a lot more useful goods and services if it cut down on government and made it more accountable. In turn, this could make life a lot better for most Americans. This idea goes against the way most economists think, which is that government spending is needed to make the economy grow. The current state of the economy is highly affected by federal spending. In many areas, government contracts and jobs are the main drivers. This makes a complicated web of relationships that makes it hard to make any big changes. Some people say that cutting back on government spending could mean losing jobs, people spending less, and the economy possibly contracting. But Musk's theory says that something different will happen. He thinks that the U.S. economy could grow by 4 to 5% if the government streamlined its work and loosened its rules. This is a big jump from where things are now, and it would have a big impact on the economy of the whole country. According to Musk, moving resources around is the key to making this change. By using technology to make the government more efficient, big cost cuts could be made. At the moment, old systems need too many people to do basic tasks, which wastes time and money and affects the whole economy. Musk's approach suggests that these resources could be put to better use in the private sector, where they could lead to more innovation and higher output. The effect Musk's plan might have on the national debt is one of the most interesting things about it. Some people think that if the government deficit went from $2 trillion to $1 trillion, the U.S. government's debt could go down by that much also. This improvement in the budget could have big effects, like lowering interest rates and making things better for all customers. Such a change could have huge effects on many things. Industries that depend on government contracts may need to change and come up with new ideas to stay competitive. As these areas look for new ways to make money in a changing economy, this could make them more efficient and productive. Also, U.S. industries could become much more competitive on a worldwide scale. If there were fewer rules and regulations and the government worked more efficiently, American businesses might be better able to fight on the world stage. It's possible that this will boost U.S. exports, create jobs in high-value industries, and make the country stronger in global markets. Economic models that try to guess what will happen when the government cuts back on spending paint a complicated picture. Some industries may have short-term problems, but the general trend points to strong growth potential. If money from government spending is put into private sector innovation, it could lead to a new wave of technology progress and business growth. This change could lead to whole new businesses and ways to make money. As money is no longer needed to fix old government systems, it could be used for cutting-edge research and development. Artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and green energy could all make faster progress, which could help solve some of society's most important problems and open up new business opportunities. Under Musk's suggested changes, GDP growth would be affected in a big way. His predictions could lead to a period of economic growth in the US that is similar to some of its most successful times. This growth wouldn't just be a number on a graph, it could actually make people's lives better by raising pay and giving them more chances to be creative and start their own businesses. We have to think about the big effects on our democracy as Musk's plan for a simpler government comes together. His ideas could save a lot of money and make things run more smoothly, but they also bring up important questions about how to run things in this tech-driven age. How can we keep the fine line between new ideas and old ways of doing things? What measures will be needed to make sure that AI-powered decision-making doesn't take away from the need for people to make policy? Musk's plan, which is based on past examples of freedom and spending cuts, aims to bring about big changes without using extreme methods like war. But since this possible change in government is just around the corner, we need to carefully think about what it will mean for our society, economy, and the very fabric of our democracy in the long run.